Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavāvahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now, so Yajnavalkya drops a bombshell on his wife, one of his wives, which is the subject matter of this dialogue. And by declaring his desire, and in declaring his desire for renouncing this world, for renunciation, he also declares his intention to, want to go to the forest. And in the process, he's also taking her permission. He need not take her permission because he's a man of knowledge. He's a very wise person and he is a jnani. The jnani does not take permission to renounce. This is a well-established, thing in the Shastra and in the life stories of people that we, respect. And as recently, as what is that? We find that in Ramana Maharshi, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi's life also. He just went one day. His mother asked him to go bring something. Some guests were coming, go to the shop and get something for them. And he just left. And 3 days later, his brother found him in a cave, clutching on to the 4 annas in those days, 25 paise, coin, clutching and sitting and meditating somewhere. And so that is, and then later on he went to Tiruvannamalai and went through a process of sannyasa, bathed in the tank outside the temple, cut off his, the marker that showed that he was a brahmachari or he was a vaidika, cut that little choti, that little tuft of hair off. And in fact, he emerged from the bathing, tank without any clothes. He was going to go like that into the world. But the priest, the temple priest had seen him, who had seen him before this and had a lot of respect for him, gave him a set of white clothes and said, please wear this. And then he said, okay. And he wore them and that's how he led the rest of his life. Much later, one householder, it is said, came to Ramana Maharshi and said, my children are grown up, my daughters are married, my sons are earning, and my wife is, and have enjoyed a very good life and everything. So do you think I should also renounce the world? He asked Ramana Maharshi. And Ramana Maharshi said, no, you should not. You should continue as you are. And the man got very angry because the man was seeking validation for his vairagya, for his, the great rousing of tyaga, the desire to give up. He was seeking all this. And then so he said, no, you should, who are you to tell me not to give up? You yourself gave up. You cut off your sacred thread. You cut off your tuft. You bathed in the temple. And then you just, you are leading a life of a mendicant. And how come you are telling me not to do that? And you know what Ramana Maharshi replied? Yes, sir, I did all that. But, he said, I did not seek anyone's permission. This is what it is. Beautiful response. And so like this, so this permission is for people who are, what I explained yesterday, Vividisha sannyasis wanna be based on wanting to gain moksha, wanting to have the time to pursue the knowledge and to be, steeped in the teachings. That is what it is. But here that is not the case. We have to be very clear, as the, as the bhashya and the vārtika both are. You have to be very clear that this is not what this is all about. This is, it's not about, seeking permission. Seeking permission is for the people who are wanting to renounce for the sake of more clarity and etc. Here his knowledge was very clear. In fact, all the institutions, starting with the institution of marriage, was just dropping off because of his vairagya. We're going to talk more about that. And so therefore, he seeks permission. And now, like I said, Maitreyi, he dropped a bombshell on Maitreyi, and now get ready for the bombshell dropped by Maitreyi on him. She, like a, what is that kind of this thing, karate move, karate and all these martial arts, they're actually very, very spiritual. So you deflect the attack. You deflect, it's not even an attack, because you just move out of the way and then you just give them something else to think about. And you just deflect it very deftly. So here he thought he's going to pull the rug from under her feet. Whether he thought that or not, that would have been the effect under normal circumstances, pulling the rug from under her feet, and then she not knowing what to do, and she being completely discombobulated. And therefore what? Therefore, what did and what did she do? She does a jiu-jitsu or karate move, kung fu move. Very spiritually, this chop is administered, and very reverentially it is administered. So let us, let us see what she says, and then we'll go to the vārtika to get a little sense of what this is. Sa hovāca. Repeat. Sa hovāca. Maitreyi. Yannu mam iyam bhagoḥ. Yannu mam iyam bhagoḥ. Sarvā pṛthivī. Vittena pūrṇā syāt. Katham tena amritāsyāmiti. Katham tena amritāsyām. Sa hovāca. Sa Maitreyi, that Maitreyi, she who was addressed as such by Yajnavalkya, that Maitreyi, her uvāca, said a long time ago. What did she say? Yannu mam iyam bhagoḥ. Yat nu mam iyam. Iyam means this wealth that you are going to give me. Because he said, I'm going to put an end to this relationship and I'm going to make a final division of property and you will be comfortable and I am off, And so she says, Yat, that wealth, that which you are going to give me. You see, the word wealth is not mentioned. We have to extrapolate that. This whole conversation is more like modern SMS, the text messages. I think we got it from the Upanishads itself, because it's such a, all these short forms are there. Very, very short forms. Like, in SMS, how do you write? BRB. What is BRB? Be right back. Meaning I'm not available right now. I'll be back. IDK. Meaning I don't know. IFA. I fully agree. All these things are there. And, this is what, and even if you don't want to do texting, if you have teenage children, you are forced to learn some of these things. And because otherwise they don't talk, they don't interact, LOL, laughing out loud. These are all things. So this Upanishad is in the form of IDK and, LOL and all these kinds of, what is that? Acronyms, short forms, very, very precise. So therefore, we have to, we have to sort of supply things to flesh out the Upanishad to really get its full flavor. So she, Maitreyi, the one who was addressed as such by Yajnavalkya, upon whose head this bombshell would have been dropped, what does she do? She, very dexterous move, she has a question for him. She doesn't say, don't go. She doesn't say, what's wrong with you? She doesn't say, what mistake did I do? Have I not done enough? Why are you doing this to me? No blame, no crying, no shaming him, no, questioning his motives. Because you see, that would have been a very subjective entanglement with her husband. And here he's saying, I want to put an end to this relationship between us as husband and wife. She respects that and she's already there with him. And then the moment she addresses him as bhagoḥ, bhagoḥ means, oh revered one, already she's minting herself as a student. We have to see this. She's minting herself as a student. She's recasting herself as his student. And then says, forget the wealth that you are giving me. After all, it is what, how many heads of cattle do we have? How much lands do we have? There is a number on it, Even Bill Gates, if he writes a check, there is a number on it. If all his money, all his assets were in the form of a check, there is a dollar amount on it. So it's not infinite. So let us forget what you are going to give me. Sarvā pṛthivī. Let us assume that the whole world, sarvā pṛthivī, this whole world is what? Vittena pūrṇā syāt. Vittena pūrṇā syāt. And okay, is Chitra there? Somebody says that it's not being telecast on where? What is that? It's not being telecast on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yes, Swamini.
Huh?
Yes, Swamini ji, we are working on it.
Okay. They are working on it.
It should
So
be coming.
until now you just be here, working on it. Yeah, some glitch must be there. No problem.
Yes.
So, sarvā pṛthivī. So forget the wealth that you are going to give me. Sarvā pṛthivī means if the whole earth, vittena pūrṇā syāt, if this whole earth, which is full of all kinds of resources, natural resources, oil resources, water resources, mineral resources, forest resources, so many resources, if the whole world belonged to me, forget the, she's just downplaying the property that he is going to leave. And he says, forget that. What you are going to leave me, forget that. Let's put that aside for a second. If the whole earth, vittena pūrṇā syāt, if that belonged to me, if I was the owner of the whole universe, if I was the king, the queen of the whole universe, and I commanded ownership of all the gems and gold and silver and, titanium and platinum and every kind of a mineral that was there, plus all the grains, seeds, and what else, trees, water, everything, natural resources. Then katham, is this the katham is very important here. Katham means how, literally means how, and how you have to take it two ways, two meanings. Katham is how. First meaning of the word katham, how. Second meaning of the word katham, is it possible? Is it possible? Tena, through this wealth, amritasyam iti, iti is again a quotation. So will I become immortal through this? Because after all, you said you're going in search of the infinite, not in search of the infinite. You are going for, finding the infinite. You are going for, not finding, abiding in the infinite. You are going for nishtha. Nishtha means nitaram sthitihi, abidance of oneself as the infinite. And so this Brahman, this infinite that you want to, that you are leaving all these institutions, you are leaving this very wealth that you are, putting on to me and Kātyāyani. You are giving us all this, and then you are off, which is fine. You can go, no problem. But before you go, please answer this question. How on earth will I, with the help of this wealth, become like you? How will I get what you are after? Obviously, if you are leaving the wealth, I know you, I have lived with you for such a long time. If you are leaving this wealth in order to get something else, then how do you think I am going to get that same thing, with this wealth that you yourself are abandoning? This is what she asked. Very beautiful question. And I said, like I said in the earlier class, this shows her qualification for Vedanta. The qualification is very important here. And all the qualifications come. The desire for moksha is there because she says, Katham tenaham amritasyam. How will I become immortal? Through this wealth, which is finite, which is mortal. Wealth has a beginning, wealth has an end. And, and how will I get the infinite? And if there is a way I'm going to get the infinite, please tell me. Then I will keep the wealth, no problem. I will use it in the best manner possible. And so, tell me, how is it that I am going to, how is it that I'm going to do this? How on earth will I get this? Or is it possible to get moksha? Moksha again is the freedom from becoming wanting, dissatisfied person. How will I get that? And then, this is a very beautiful question. And, because the Upanishad is in the form of a, SMS, text messages, all very, very short form. There is scope for all kinds of commentaries. So the Bṛhadāraṇyaka Upaniṣad, itself is blessed with many commentaries. First we have Adi Shankara's Bhashya, where he is the first one to point out that Maitreyi is qualified for knowledge because she is not a karta. Yesterday I talked about that. She is not a doer because she is not doing the rituals. And he beautifully highlights that. And then in his introduction to this particular section. And then we have Anandagiri's Tika. Tika is a form of commentary, which is, a commentary, the commentary of Adi Shankara is commented upon, along with the original text. So this is all in prose, okay? Then we have, we have one more vārtika by one Anandashrama, one sannyasi. Anandashrama's vārtika is there for the Bṛhadāraṇyaka Upaniṣad. And I'll explain what a vārtika is presently. And then Anandashrama's vārtika is there. Then we have another, another vārtika, which is by the first vārtika, which is by Suresvaracharya, which is presently being talked about. And then there is one more, kind of a vārtika on the Bṛhadāraṇyaka Upaniṣad, called Nyāyakalpalatika. And so like this, we are blessed with so many. And then there are tippanis, like, critical notes, like certain things that we have to remember that are highlighted. So this is the scholastic tradition which unfolds all the left out things. It's not that the Upanishad leaves things out deliberately. The Upanishad is a lady of few words. She just gives the indication, and then it is incumbent upon the people in the tradition, the rishis, the sages, the saints, the scholars, to unfold that. And so the vārtika becomes a very important form of commentary. Very important commentary this vārtika is. And so therefore what? So therefore we have to see that this vārtika is properly, holds what place it holds in the parampara, and why do we have to study it? What do we gain? What do we gain will become abundantly clear when we enter this vārtika and read a few verses. It will become abundantly clear, but I will touch upon that. So the word vārtika itself, it means a certain kind of like vritti. Vritti means like commentaries, a certain kind of an unfoldment. But you can't write something and then call it a vārtika. So what did you do today? Oh, I wrote a vārtika. You can't just say that. It's not like modern poetry. They will write the one line, the, and then next line, the sky is, next line, blue, third line, fourth line. So what? Question mark. And this is supposed to be modern poetry, which is fine in its place. But this is not modern, this is ancient. There are rules about how to go about writing a vārtika and what is its purpose. And for the vārtika, to define the vārtika itself, there is a verse. Ukta duruktanam chinta yatra pravartate tam grantham vārtikam ahuhu vārtikajño vichakshanaha. So, vichakshanaha, those who know, those who are scholars in the tradition, they belong to the Advaita Parampara, they belong to a sound lineage of non-duality. And then in this Advaita Parampara, in this lineage of non-duality, to which they are committed, they are highly regarded. They are not some roadside riffraff with some lip service to non-duality. They have been steeped in the tradition. They have thought about it. They are teachers. They are writers. They are scholars. And so they are called vichakshanaha. So then what do they say? And they are also vārtikajñaha. So vārtikajña means the people vārtikam janati iti vārtikajñaha. So they know vārtika. They know what vārtika is because they have perhaps composed or they have studied and written commentaries on other vārtikas, including Suresvaracharya's. So they are experts not only in the Advaita tradition, they are also experts in what is vārtika. So, ahuhu, tam grantham vārtikam ahuhu. So they call that manuscript as vārtika. So what is that manuscript? That manuscript which fulfills certain conditions. It fulfills certain conditions. And what are the conditions it fulfills? And those conditions are very nicely listed. The conditions are wonderfully listed. And ukta anukta duruktanam chinta yatra pravartate. So there are certain things in the Upanishad, and this has been already, observed by these scholars called vārtikajñaha and vichakshanaha, these scholars of the tradition, that whatever the Upanishad says needs some, bolstering, unfoldment for the common people to study. For those who are not scholars, for the regular mumukshus to study. So, ukta means that which is said by the Upanishad. Anukta means that which the Upanishad does not say. Like missing, in this conversation between Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi is what they had for breakfast. And where did they are they tea or coffee drinkers, or what did they do? And, so many things are missing. Before this conversation, was there some preamble leading up to this? Because it suddenly starts, without even a how do you do. So was there some preamble leading up to this? All that is missing, missing from this. So this is called anukta. And then there is also something called durukta. Ukta, anukta and durukta. Durukta, the rudhi artha. Rudhi means the common meaning is that which is not properly, that which is wrongly said. Now, can the Upanishad say anything wrongly? Shake your head, no, because it is not possible. It is not possible for the Upanishad to say anything wrongly. Why? It is infallible. It is considered as infallible because it is, apaurushaya. It is not the result of human intervention. It doesn't have authorship. It is given directly by Bhagavan. So we don't go correcting everything and saying, oh, the grammar is mistaken here. There's a mistake in the grammar. You have this daily prayers. Atma yanamaha, Atmalinga yanamaha. Yeah, in the morning, evening, we chant in the temple. Atma, yeah, there is no word. In fact, anybody studying Sanskrit, will understand it should be, it's a nakaranta, it is a na ending noun, so it should be Atmane Namaha. So nobody goes and corrects it. This is called Chandasam, poetic license. Bhagavan has the license to do that. But when you write and you compose in Sanskrit, you cannot say Atmaya Namaha, okay? You cannot say, oh, they did it, those rishis did it, I should also be able to do it. Bhagavan did it. No. So this is what is called Chandasam. And to keep the Shraddha, the reverence intact, we don't touch those, those grammatical discrepancies. We call it Chandasam, something to do with the metrics of ancient, Vedic metrics. And Chandasam also means, Bhagavan has the poetic license to do certain things. Okay? So then Durukta doesn't mean badly said, because Upanishad cannot say anything badly or wrongly. It will not mislead you. You may be misled because of your own subjectivity and the, and the not having the means, that is Guru, etc., to unfold the Upanishad. So you may be misled. That's not the Upanishad's problem. The Upanishad does not seek to mislead. So what is Durukta here? We have to understand. Durukta means, that which is unclearly said. That which is not said, that which is said, but it is not clear to the mumukshus who have no immersion in Vedanta or very little immersion in Vedanta. And, instead of them scratching their head all day, and wondering what was said by the Upanishad. This is what makes the Upanishad different from Zen Kovan, This is Kovan or Kon, whatever it is. Yeah, so there is this, there are these Zen masters, the stories go. And what do the Zen masters do? You go to the Zen master. The student goes to the Zen master, says, Master, please enlighten me. And the Zen master, says, something like this. What is the sound? What is the sound of one hand clapping? Ayyo, what to do now? One hand clapping? One hand, can it clap? In fact, we have a saying, you can never clap with one hand. So is there a sound? Am I missing something? And I have lot of reverence and shraddha for the Guru. There must be some meaning. And then the Zen teacher picks up his cup of herbal tea and then keeps sipping, and then tells the student, go contemplate on this. Nididhyasasva, go contemplate and then come back when you find out what this means. One whole lifetime gone, because what else is the student to do? Correct? So the Vedanta teacher cannot get away with this. Yeah. Even though the Vedanta teacher might be slightly envious of the Zen master, all you have to do is speak in Kovans and then, finish. But here, the Vedanta teacher's job is to unfold until it is completely, totally and fully understood. To unfold that. And, so therefore what? So therefore, this is something, this is something we have to properly look at. Is that in the process of studying the Upanishad, there are certain things which may not be clear. Like, for example, Yat Manasana Manute, says the Kena Upanishad. That which is not comprehended, grasped by the mind. Meaning what? The mind is an object for which consciousness? You can objectify the mind. You are that consciousness, you are that awareness, that self-aware awareness, self-effulgent awareness that can, that can objectify the mind. You can say, I'm angry, I'm restless, I'm fearful, I'm sad. When you say I'm sad, you're not the sadness. You're objectifying the sadness. So the mind is an object for whom? This is so therefore the mind cannot grasp this as an object, because you are not an object, you are the subject, you cannot be objectified. This is what is talked about. Now, this is, and in the Kathopanishad, Manasa eva idam aptavyam. Through the mind alone it should be got. This should be gained. Meaning the mind is a receptacle where the knowledge takes place, but it is not the very agent of this knowledge. The mind doesn't produce the knowledge, but it is a place where the knowledge takes place, because the buddhi, where else will the knowledge take place? It cannot take place in the tummy, okay? Yeah. The tummy can assimilate the food you eat, but the tummy is not the place to assimilate this knowledge. We have a cognitive faculty called mind, buddhi, etc. That's where the knowledge is grasped, but not grasped as an object. These indicatory words are given which speak to the self, because you are already self-effulgent. All this is very difficult to communicate in a few words, and therefore it could be misinterpreted. You could throw away the Upanishad, say, oh, there is a contradiction. And in fact, a lot of scholastic people do this. I call it academia. In academia, this is what they do. They parse. Oh, there is internal contradiction. There is external contradiction. And then what? And then they get to defend their PhD thesis and then say, I'm Dr. so and so. This is what they say. And so therefore, this is where the problem comes. And so therefore what happens? We have to ensure that the knowledge that is gained is clear as a bell. So durukta here doesn't mean badly said. Durukta means that which is not clear, or that which is subject to, that which becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of contradictions or contradictory interpretations. And so that all has to be resolved. And so the vārtika, ukta, anukta, durukta, these three you have to remember. Ukta, that which is said by the Upanishad, which is unfolded. That which is unsaid, which is nicely, filling in the blanks. Like the squirrel in Ramayana, is putting all these pebbles to hold, pebbles and gravel to hold these big boulders together. So this fills up. The vārtika is like the grout that fills up the different chapters of the Upanishad, different subsections. It provides a very nice, segue. Very lovely. And durukta, things which are unclear, which are rife, which are like the lightning rod for all kinds of controversies, are immediately, with the help of the tradition, unfolded in a very, very nice way. So, chinta yatra pravartate. Chinta here is thought, contemplation. Chinta is not worry. Okay. So, where there is, scholarly thought for the, with regard to what is said in the Upanishads, with regard to what is not said in the Upanishad, and with regard to what is, which is not clear for all the sadhakas, the seekers. Chinta yatra pravartate, where there is some kind of a chinta. Chinta means what? Some kind of a contemplative enquiry. Chinta means contemplative enquiry. So dam grantham vārtikam ahuhu, that is what is called a vārtika. Say the experts in people, experts who have expertise in what vārtika is. So, with these words, let us just have a little flavor of this vārtika. I have given what's its name? I have given a link, because the other link, some people had some trouble. So they were not able to download. So here you can, if not download right now, you can at least read. I have put the link again. Yeah. So this is what let us look at this thing. So now open to, if you are able to, and I know it's an unwieldy document, because trust me, my computer has also frozen a couple of times while opening it. I took upon it as a sadhana to, like to have more titiksha and patience with it. And so if you can, please open it to page 94. Okay, verse number 38. And this doesn't have transliteration. So if you're not able to read the lipi, the script, then just, just go along with what I'm chanting. Okay. Verse number 38. I'll give just a second for you to, get settled on that page. Okay, ready? Verse number 38. Sorry, 39. 39. भार्यादनुज्ञा पूर्वो हि संन्यासो विहितश्रुतौ अतोऽनुज्ञार्थमेवाह मैत्रेयीं ऋषिरात्मनः भार्यादनुज्ञा पूर्वो हि संन्यासो विहितश्रुतौ अतोऽनुज्ञार्थमेवाह Maitreyi Rishiratmanaha. Maitreyi iti aha. Oh Maitreyi iti aha Rishihi. So the Rishi, who is the Rishi here? Who is the Rishi? Yajnavalkya is the Rishi. Maitreyi is also a Rishi, but Rishi is masculine here. She should be Rishini. So therefore, since it doesn't say Rishini, you have to say, take it as Maitreyi, Yajnavalkya is the Rishi. Rishihi aha, Rishi raha, Rishi aha. What did he say? He said, and what did he say? Maitreyi. Where does this Maitreyi come? Go back to your text on the Bṛhadāraṇyaka Upaniṣad, please. And what is the first word of the first mantra? Yeah? You see that? What is the first word of the first mantra? The first word of the first mantra is Maitreyi iti hovāca yājñavalkyaḥ. Yeah. So that word, the first word he utters is his wife's name, Maitreyi. And so therefore what? So therefore, this is what he says, Maitreyi. Oh Maitreyi, Are Maitreyi, oh dear darling Maitreyi. This is how he says. And so the this whole verse takes on this, he introduces this section by saying, why did he say, oh Maitreyi, oh honey, why did he say? Bharyad anugnya purvohi. Anugnya purvaha means anugya is in front of which. Anugya means permission. So the permission is in front of which, which intention or which, not intention, which action. So the action of sannyasa is approved by the Shruti only by, gaining the permission of who? Bharyat. Bharyat, Bharyadi. Bharyadi. Bharya means Bharya and children. Adi Padat. The Adi refers to children, refers to, whoever else, mother, whoever else might be dependent on this person. So Bharyadi Anugnya Purvaha. So Anugnya Purvaha means that which is, which is whose foundation, the action of sannyasa, should be having a sound foundation, previous foundation in gaining the certificate of approval from the wife, from the children, etc. In fact, a lot of people used to come to Pujya Swamiji for sannyasa, and then, and then Pujya Swamiji would send them back to their wives. Many of them were men. And the wife would say, over my dead body, no way, no way you're going to do this. Oh, why can't you be like Maitreyi? The men would ask. And then I suppose the women would say, you be like Yajnavalkya first, then you expect me to be like Maitreyi. You are no Yajnavalkya, I am no Maitreyi. Therefore what? Therefore, Better to go, live in the ashram and then go on as we are. And Pujya Swamiji never gave those people sannyasa. I still know people like that. So this is very important because it has got a vihita shrutau. It is it is vihita means there is an injunction by the shruti. There is an injunction, and what is the injunction? Bharya danugnya purvo hi sannyasa. That this sannyasa, the action of renunciation, must be followed by bharyadi anugnya. Purva means that which is buttressed by having the permission of the wife, etc. Otherwise that sannyasa is not valid. And I told you this is only for applicable for vividisha sannyasa, not vidvat sannyasa. Okay, yeah. So then vihita shrutau in the shruti, shrutau, seventh case in the shruti. Ataha means the tasmāt, therefore, anugyartham eva. Anugyartham. So for the sake of getting permission, indeed, eva aha. Eva means indeed, only for the sake of securing her consent, getting her permission, Rishihi, the sage, addressed Atmanaha. Atmanaha means his own Maitreyi, his own wife, sage addressed her as, as how the text begins. The text in the Upanishad now we are talking of. How does it begin? Maitreyi iti hovāca. So that particular, introduction is given in this verse for the sake of, addressing, for the sake of gaining permission from his wife. He addressed her as thus, So that is what it is. And then, there is the, there is some kind of a thing. Here it is given, that particular verse is given here. Mataram pitaram bharyam putram suhrudo bandhun etan anumoditva yeja yajnavalkya tan sarvān pūrvavat vṛhnītva vaishvanaram ishtam kritva sarvasvam dadyat. So there is a list of people here who should be happy with your decision, according to the Shruti, and who should be happy with your decision. And who are the people who should be happy with your decision? Parents, wife, spouse here, and children, putra, children, suhrida. Suhrida means friends, well-wishers, bandhus, relatives. All of them should be happy. I tell you, if that were the case, nobody will take sannyasa. Nobody will be able to take sannyasa. They will all be left hanging because there will be one complaining individual, one grumbling person. Whether even if mother says okay, there will be some grumbling person. Even if the spouse says okay, there will be some grumbling person. And so this is just a, what is that? This is not from the Shruti, I suppose. It is from the Smriti. SP, we have to see what the SP here is. On top of page 95, it says SP clarifies. And I don't want to go back to the beginning to look at the abbreviation because that will definitely freeze up the computer. So you can look it up later on what that means, okay? So here's a list of recommended people that should generally be happy with your decision. But definitely the wife and the spouse and parents come in the, the mother comes in the, has a high place here. So therefore, to ask for permission, he says, my darling Maitreyi, he addresses her as such. Udyasyan va are sthānād asmāt gārhastya lakshanāt chikirsheva me sannyasam anugyādātumarhasi. Udyasan va are sthānād asmāt gārhastya lakshanāt chikirshave me sannyasam anugyādātumarhasi. Beautiful. Again, and Maitreyi iti hovāca, that formed, just that little piece formed the first verse that we are studying of the vārtika. Awesome, Maitreyi iti hovāca yājñavalkyaḥ. This itself formed the first verse. And now the second verse. Now go back to the text again. Udyāsan, udyāsyan asmāt sthānād asmi, he says. Udyāsyan asmāt sthānād asmi. Correct? So from I'm pushing off from this station of life. So that one forms, that sentence of Yajnavalkya forms the second verse that we are studying. Udyasan va. Va here means why. Indeed, udyasyan. It's a future participle, so it gives the intent. I'm about to go. Asmāt sthānād. Here the vārtika is beautiful because it puts words in Yajnavalkya's mouth, and it puts words in Maitreyi's mouth also, as we will see, and it just the whole Upanishad flowers very beautifully. That's the purpose of this vārtika. Very, very lovely. And so udyasyan, I'm about to leave. From where? Asmāt sthānād. And what is this sthana? Asmāt sthana means from this station of life. Garhastya lakshana. Grihasthasya bhavaha garhastya. So from the station of life called householdership. Garhastya means the abstract noun of householder, householderness, householdership. And then, so householdership. And then, so what happens? So this is what, from this place, I wish to move. And the householdership is made up of what? 2 people, correct? Minimum. And sometimes a whole family, but the basic unit of householder is the 2 spouses that make up the house. Correct? And so, therefore what? So therefore, so this is what has to be understood, that the 2 people here, and if one of them is leaving, there is no household anymore, and so therefore he needs to take permission, and so he's about to take permission because he's about to put an end to his role as the householder. Chikir shabe, chikir shuhu, chikir shuhu means kartum ichha chikirsha. The desire to do is called chikirsha, san pratyaya. Like these belong to the list of nouns like mumuksha, vividisha, chikirsha, kartumichha, chikirsha, bubhutsa, bodhumichha, bubhutsa, jñātumichha, jignāsa, bhoktumichha, the desire to eat, bubhuksha, and so kartumichha, it's not kikirsha because of some, grammatical changes. We have chikirsha, kartumichha. So, chikirsha and chikirshuhu, I am a desirer of what? I'm desiring to do what? Sannyasam chikirshuhu aham. Sannyasam chikirshuhu aham. Anugyam datum arhasi. So, sannyasa, some chikirshuhu aham. And then, so for the sake of, this amritatvaya, that is not mentioned, but it will be talked about later, for the sake of being one without a doubt, without errors, etc., the one that is, the one that is desirous of taking up this life of renunciation, oh Maitreyi, oh darling Maitreyi, anugyam datum arhasi. You deserve to give me anugya. You deserve to give me anugya means what? You deserve to give me permission. I deserve your permission because, you know me. I've been interested in this in a long time, and I know you. And not only do you know me, but I also know that, you will be happy with this decision. And so, datum arhasi. And then, this is what the this is what he says, and you should give me, please give me this, you please give me this, what is that, permission to go forward with my decision, to go forward with this desire. So the desire is there, asmāt sthānād, from this, from this station of life. I'm about to give up this stage of life called householdership. Since you are part of that householdership with me, I would like to get your permission. Can you please, do this, So then her response, comprises verse number 41. Verse number 41 is, is her response. Yuktamaha bhavan asman anurupam chikirshati yadevam sati kartavyam tat kshipramanushadhimam. Yuktamaha bhavan asman anurupam chikirshati yadevam sati kartavyam tat kshipramanushadhimam. So she says, yes, yuktamaha bhavan, you have said the proper thing. It is indeed appropriate. You have said the proper thing. She actually, according to the vārtika, she, upholds his decision. In the Upanishad, she immediately launches to a question. You see, this is why we need the vārtika, because the vārtika sort of, puts some frills and icing on this, on this conversation very beautifully, puts a little flower arrangement on it so we can enjoy, highlights the Upanishad. It does not take away from the Upanishad. It highlights the Upanishad so that our assimilation is deep. Otherwise, what happens? One's own subjectivity comes in the way of understanding this. You know why? Because we start sort of questioning, like, oh, how come she said it like this? And what happened before? And how this is, there is a little aruchi. Aruchi means there's not that, this feeling of immersing in the Upanishad and enjoying its glory is not really there. And so therefore what? So he elongates the conversation so that you can enter into this life of Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi and identify with it. So and here she shows herself to be a fitting candidate for knowledge, firstly by ratifying his choice. What does she say? Yuktamaha bhavan. Indeed, you have said the correct thing. Yes, you have said the right thing. Yuktam means proper. Yukta is proper. You have spoken in a very measured and appropriate manner. Why is it proper? It is proper because this is vihita by the Shruti. The Shruti herself says that there are 4 stages in life. We saw that, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and then sannyasa. Shruti also says sannyasa can be entered straight away from studenthood or from married life or from vanaprastha. It doesn't matter. Sannyasa is there, everything is there. Sannyasa is for the sake of moksha. Nobody takes sannyasa to have a following. Nobody takes sannyasa because they will get free food brought by devotees. Bhiksha will come. No. Sannyasa is for the sake of moksha, no other reason. And why? Because all these distractions, this was a question yesterday, all these distractions that are there in life, they don't allow you, there is a certain plateau. They don't allow you to go beyond. You have to, if you have to go beyond a certain kind of what is that? A certain kind of a stasis in self-growth, then some radical, shedding is needed. And that which makes you shed is called Upanishad. Okay, so this is what it is. In English, Upanishad. In Sanskrit, Upanishad, because it makes you shed like a tree in autumn. It just makes you shed all the things that are not needed to go forward on this path. And forward means within, really. to see, to take a very, what is that? To take a very honest look at how the things that you have spent half of your life accumulating, whether it's people, possessions, things, etc., how are they serving you? Are they indeed serving you? To take a look at that, to take an honest look at that. The Upanishads, what is that? Helps you to do that. And that which doesn't belong, thanks to the grace of the Guru, thanks to the grace of the Shastra and the grace of Bhagavan, half of the things drop off automatically. Half of the things just drop off. And then certain other things you need a little push for it to fall off. You need a little kind of a scratching, a little push. You have to shake a little bit for certain other things to shed. And mainly that which needs to be shedded is the notions in the head. That which needs to be shed are the notions in the head. This is what really needs to happen. Otherwise, there is no hope of going forward. So this doesn't mean that if you are a rich person, you will not get moksha. That also is talked about, and we'll see that in the next class. But it does mean that you can own a number of things, but you don't, how many of them do you have a possessive, controlling, attitude towards? In fact, how many of the things you own control you? How many of the things and people in your life that you have manage you, manage your emotions, tug at your heartstrings, make you codependent upon them? That is the key here. It is not about, taking one kamandalu and then running off to the Himalayas. That is not the idea at all. And so the renunciation is within. It's the heart that is made to wear an orange dress first. How are you able to be a witness in your life to all the things without jumping in and trying to manipulate the person here, do this there, do that there, complain about this, that? And if you're following Doṣaparihārāṣṭakam, which I highly, highly recommend, you will see, that it will really give you a big boost to your self-growth. Really, that text is something else. So then, so yuktam aha. So she says this is appropriate because it is recommended by the Shruti for this life. And the only thing, the Parama Purushartha, in fact, the only Purushartha is what? Is to understand yourself as a free person, free of sorrow, strife, and want. And it is yuktam also because I know you. You are, I have lived with you. And for you, I have watched you. And I have watched your self-growth. And you are ready to drop this. Look at her maturity. Giving him the permission to say, giving him the freedom to say, I know you, and you are ready to drop me. I know you. But guess what? I'm ready to drop you too. And that we will see in the next class how she says that. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah, Doṣaparihārāṣṭakam, that which is streaming, I hope it is streaming from 4 to 5:15, in the afternoon. Please listen to that. Yeah, it was already there in the flyer, and that is the one. Yeah, that is the one you can listen to. It will really help. It will. What should I say? It will be like a rocket for your jñāsa. If you want to put your jñāsa, your desire to know, on steroids, please listen to this, listen to the Upanishad, but also listen to Doṣaparihārāṣṭakam. They are complementary. So that is what it is, yeah. And so that is the thing. Doesn't look like our thing made it to this YouTube channel today. Doesn't matter. They will figure it out. I'll talk to Chitra and find out what happened after the class. Om Tat Sat. Take care. See you next time. Now we are entered the text. We have entered the vārtika. We are on fire. Okay, fire of knowledge. Om.